Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kraskowiak.
Here.
Councilmember Rayrauer.
Here.
Councilmember Novak. Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here.
One absent, Novak.
Thank you. All right, why don't we adopt this evening's agenda then?
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Motion by Carlson, a second by Kraskowiak. Is there any corrections or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the agenda is adopted.
Mr. Mayor? Did we not do
Councilmember,
the abstentions for the,
what did I miss?
did we not do abstentions for the?
No, not for the agenda. We're not to
okay.
the minutes
I'm
yet.
I'm a learning here.
You're getting ahead of us here. Just hang on. Next, we're looking for the approval of the minutes from September 3rd, 2024.
Motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Rayrauer. Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And those minutes are approved with 2 abstentions,
Correct.
Councilmember Novak and Councilmember Armstrong.
Here we go.
There you go.
Well, Novak's not here, so we can't
got
really even.
Well, that's true. That's true. So it's just 1 abstention.
Yeah.
Yeah, abstained and absent.
Single you out, Councilmember Armstrong.
There we go.
All right, we are on our consent agenda, and we have 1 item on our consent agenda, and that's to approve a therapeutic massage enterprise license for Fiona's Day Spa, 3183 Northdale Boulevard, Suite B. Ms. Reif has submitted an application for massage enterprise licensing, paid the background investigation and license fee, and provided proof of the required liability insurance and proper educational documentation. Approval is contingent upon a successful background investigation and the issuance of a certificate of occupancy by the Building Inspections Department. It should be noted that she has previously been approved and held a massage enterprise license for the location of 12685 Riverdale Boulevard, Northwest, Room 24, and now is planning to move to this new location. So we're looking to approve the issuance of a therapeutic massage enterprise license to Fiona's Day Spa LLC, located at 3183 Northdale Boulevard, Suite B, pending a successful background investigation and the issuance of a certificate of occupancy by the Building Inspections Department. And that's our full consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Rayrauer.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer, second by Geisler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion is approved. And we are up to item 3, to consider adoption of Ordinance 2313 to amend 8200 waste collection and recycling. Mr. Brody, are you going to be hitting the highlights on this one?
I can, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, as you see, we did introduce at the last meeting, had a pretty good discussion on it at a work session just prior to that as well. We're making some changes. While we're not going to any sort of organized hauling, we are going to update our code. The big highlight is, I guess, is that we're going to limit our residential haulers to 3. Now, that being said, we are going to maintain whoever's currently licensed. If they wish to remain licensed, they can continue to do that. We're also going to attempt to try to help regulate some of the issues that we've had with some of our haulers with how they do their hauling, and so we've added a couple of different ideas there with if they get so many complaints in a year, and also kind of an administrative fine procedure that we've used in other code enforcement that we've done in the city. So we're hoping these changes will help to provide for a better service to our residents and maintaining sort of our current system. But again, with the long-range plan of hopefully eliminating that down to help with truck traffic and things like that on our streets. So we're asking council to adopt the ordinance tonight, and just as importantly, given the length of it, to authorize summary publication as well.
Sure. All right. Does council have any questions of Mr. Brody on this?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rayrower.
This is a culmination of many, many, many months of work on this. Lots of conversations between the council and the waste haulers, also conversations of city staff and waste haulers. And proud to say we've come to this conclusion where we think we're all in agreement with moving forward with this. So with that, I will make a motion to adopt Ordinance 2313 to amend 8-200 waste collection and recycling and authorize summary publication.
Second.
Motion by Rayrower, second by Geisler. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler.
I'll just reiterate some of the things that Councilmember Rayrower said, that, this is, I think, a good balance for right now, because we want to recognize that there's a lot of initiative within the city. It was really split, 50-50. Should we do organized? Should we keep our haulers? And what this does is it gets us moving in a positive direction to say, A, you can pick your hauler, but B, we can ensure and help our residents and make more certain that the haulers that are here are good haulers, that they're following the rules, that they're always picking up the trash. So we don't have as many complaints of, hey, nobody picked up my trash, nobody did this, that it helps us manage that hauling system. And I'd like to point out that in our conversations with the haulers, some of those rules and expectations were things that the haulers brought up themselves. So it's going to, I think, give us better control of the haulers that are here, making sure that we only have good haulers and still allow people to have their choice. So I think it's a good move for the city.
All right, very good. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 4 is to consider a change order for purchase of a community development and business licensing software. Ms. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, over the last year or so, we were notified by Logis, who we purchased our building software from, that they were no longer going to support it. They were going to sunset that platform. So over the last year, we've looked at other alternative software solutions, in addition, as well as some software the city clerk uses, as their software is very limited in functionality. So we looked at an alternative solution that Logis had offered, as well as BSNA, who is our current or new software provider for finance, HR, and utility billing, and are recommending that we add on the community development and business licensing modules with BSNA. We would see some cost savings on an annual basis, as well as improved efficiency. It would be full integration with our general ledger, so reduce a lot of duplication of work. And then there's a lot of features for our residents to do online renewals, different things like that that we would want to implement. The full cost of this particular project is $224,255. So that includes first year subscription costs. So the one-time costs are about $172,000. The project timeline, it's about 14 months from approval. The full cost of the project we do have included in the 25 budget. We're hoping to get approval now so that we can make the initial payment that's required and get on their schedule.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Hanson?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rayrower.
I just want to say a huge thank you to Ms. Hanson for researching this. This is just really a win-win, because it is going to keep pace with this ever-changing technology and lower costs. So with that, I am honored to make a motion to approve the purchase of community development and business licensing software and authorize the city manager to execute the change order for the existing BSNA service agreement.
Second.
Motion by Rayrower, second by Geisler. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac.
just make the same point kind of that Ms. Rayauer did, that, we're lucky to have you on this. I mean, you have experience with this software, and you showed us a way to save some money and make a good decision here, so I appreciate it. I think we're going the right direction on this.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd reiterate and concur with that. Just getting things on a common platform really helps, It's one of the things that I do in my day job. And just being able to bring things together and having a better interface for the residents and being able to do things online versus having to come into city offices. And I think any of us know there's how many things that we do today online that versus going to a place. And having that as an option for our city now is going to be helpful for our residents. So very supportive of this. And again, it overall saves us money.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 5, consider memorandum of understanding with Anoka Hennepin District 11 for school resource and prevention program officer services. See, now this would normally be Chief Steiner. That must be why you are here tonight. Are you here to present this?
That is correct.
Awesome. Very good. Carry on.
Mr. Mayor and council members, the Police Department requests approval of a memorandum of understanding with Anoka Hennepin School District Number 11 for the 24-25 school year for school resource and prevention program officer services. This agreement provides funding for assigning police officers as school resource officers at Coon Rapids High School, Coon Rapids Middle School, Northdale Middle School, River Trail Learning Center, and Compass programs. And also for officers teaching the drug abuse resistance education or DARE programs at the elementary schools. The police department's operated this program since 1974 and the DARE program since 1989. And in that time, we have been able to build many great relationships through both of these programs. The MOU currently on the agenda here is very much the same as the previous one with some minor language changes that were recommended by us, and it has been approved by the city attorney's office. So staff recommends the city council approve the 2024-25 memorandum of understanding for school resource and preventative program officer services with the Anoka Hennepin School District Number 11.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Mr.
Sorry,
Mayor,
Tanya, that was
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I really like those programs. I like to
Yes.
make the
They
motion.
All right, go for it, Councilmember Carlson.
Make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 Memorandum of Understanding for School Resource and Prevention Program Officer Services with Anoka Hennepin School District Number 11.
Second.
We have a motion by Carlson and a second by Armstrong. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson?
I read the MOU very closely, probably for the first time ever. Boy, that is just perfect. That is just perfect. I was glad there was no little extras slipped in there. That was perfect. Well done.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6 is to consider adoption of an electronic funds transfer EFT policy and adoption of Resolution 24-90 designating electronic funds transfer authority. Ms. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. During our last audit here, our auditors had noted that we were not compliant with statute 471-38 that talks about electronic funds. Local governments are allowed to make payments via EFT, but the city must adopt an electronic funds policy, and then they have to annually designate that authority to either designated administrator or their chief financial officer. And then in addition, we are required to provide a list of all transactions made by electronic transfer at the next regular council meeting. So council is asked to adopt the policy, designate the authority to the finance director, and then it'll become an annual designation that we'll bring forward in January with that first meeting to do that each year. And then, starting with the October 1st meeting, we'll be providing a list of electronic payments on the consent agenda.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
So this will be something new, so, we get the quarterly financial statements and things like that on a regular basis, but now this is gonna be an agenda item on every agenda that talks about expenditures made by EFT. Is that the way I'm understanding that? So I guess that's fine, but I'm just wondering, Why just EFT expenditures? I mean, we don't approve of every check and every expenditure that we made. Is there a little bit, something behind this statute that I can understand? I mean, why just EFT?
Yes, I
Anybody?
can speak to a little bit. So the council used to have a check register attached, and then back in 2003 decided to remove it from the agenda. There are statutes that talk about statutory cities have to provide check, or any kind of payments have to run through council, but since we're a charter city, those don't apply to us. This particular statute doesn't sit within a chapter that talks about statutory cities, it just talks about municipalities. So when we talked with our auditors, they didn't find, so when they test for us, they get a list from the state auditor that gives a list of statutes and things that they have to test for. They didn't find anything that said that we would be exempt from this particular statute. So though since we're a charter city, we don't require and don't have to fall within the statute to do the all complete check register. This particular policy, we would have to fall within the statute in order to make the electronic payments.
Okay, that makes more sense. I mean, we weren't ever missing anything. We were doing it voluntarily up into 2003, and then we didn't figure we needed to do it, so. I guess, I mean, if we have to follow the state statute, I mean, we have to adopt this and it makes sense, oversight. I'm good with it.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler?
I'll make a motion to adopt the electronic funds transfer EFT policy, and a motion to adopt Resolution 24-90, designating authority to make electronic fund transfers to the finance director.
Second?
Motion by Geisler and a second by Carlson. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Armstrong?
quick question. As far as the city goes, I know for businesses, we're regulated by NACHA on a number of different things. Does that affect the city in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, so an ACH is just a specific type of electronic payment, so it would be, the type would be any wires, electronic transfers, ACH would all be included in that list.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.
That'll keep me busy in future meetings.
Item 7 is to consider Resolution 24-88, waiving municipal consent for State Project 0215-87, or CP 19-26. Mr. Hemmer.
Mr. Mayor, Council, the long-anticipated and planned improvements on Highway 10, third lane in each direction between generally Round Lake Boulevard and Hanson are moving forward and anticipated to start construction in 2025. Because that project increases capacity, its addition of lanes, municipal consent is required. It's happening within the city limits of Coon Rapids. So we've been a partner on this. We've been part of that coalition on Trunk Highway 10. We're involved in the plans. We're participated in all the meetings and everything. So staff is recommending that we consider waiving that municipal consent versus the public hearing process in 90 days and everything that comes with that. So it's anticipated or estimated about $325,000 of the total project will be ours. It's primarily for relocating our utilities out of the MnDOT right-of-way. And that's the obligation that we would have under this project. So all statutory requirements are here. It's up to you to decide on that, and I guess I'm happy to answer any questions on the municipal consent for Highway 10.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Hemmer?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac?
I actually don't have any questions on this because we hashed it out so well in the work session. I think you answered everybody's questions, and the council, you know, at that time came to this conclusion, and this is just formalizing what we had talked about in depth.
All right. Were you thinking
Mr.
about
Mayor?
turning that into a motion, or
Yeah.
Councilmember Carlson, or who's got something here?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
All right.
Make a motion to recommend adopt resolution number 24-88, waiving municipal consent for state project 0215-87, sub CP 19-26, adding a third lane in each direction on Trunk Highway 10 between Round Lake Boulevard and Creek Meadow Drive.
Second.
Motion by Griscoviac and second by Ray Rauer. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 8, consider resolution 24-89, amending the 2024 budget and authorizing an interfund loan for Boulevard tree removal. And everybody's going to want to know, is this going to move me up the list? Mr. Stemwedel.
Mayor, Council, that's the idea. As Council's aware, the city has been working toward addressing the emerald ash borer issue. We've all seen the dead or dying ash trees throughout the city, in particular in the city boulevards, which are full of ash trees. The challenge in the last year or two is the pace at which these trees are failing has accelerated significantly, and the amount we've levied the last several years is sort of an ongoing basis, just isn't keeping pace with the demand that's out there. And so rather than increase the levy significantly over the next few years, what we've discussed as staff and proposed to council is that we loan ourselves some money from the revolving construction fund. In particular, what the request is tonight is $200,000 for 2024, $320,000 additional for 2025, in order to accelerate the removal of those trees. We believe we need about $800,000 in the timeframe of 2025 to 2027 in order to remove the 2,900 remaining ash trees in the city boulevards. So what this request would do is kind of clear us through the end of 2025, and then as a part of the 26, 27 budget years, we can either come back to council, give you an update, and maybe we can handle it at that time with some other revenue that's out there, whether that be loaning ourselves some money, transferring money from elsewhere, perhaps there'll be some grants available at a state level, or and that sort of thing. So we're not looking too far out into the crystal ball. Really, we know that we need about $520,000 between now and the end of 2025 to stay on pace with that plan to remove all of them by the end of 27 that are needed. So the resolution before you would amend the 2024 budget to include that approximately $200,000 in additional work to be done yet this year, and then $320,000 additional for 2025. And I'll stand for any questions.
So we're over halfway then, because didn't we have like 6,300 ash trees?
Correct, Mayor and Council. I think it was something around 6,000 ash trees when we started this journey, 6-7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Stemwedel on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Ray Rauer?
Currently, this is the thing that I have received the most emails and calls on is about the dead trees we have in the city. We know it's a problem. We want to do what we can to get those removed and cleaned up. Please be patient, but the good news is with our staff doing a fabulous job finding the funding for this without us having to increase the levy, we can continue this work and do it as quickly as the staff is able to. So with that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 24-89, amending the 2024 budget and authorizing an interfund loan for Boulevard tree removal.
Second.
Motion by Ray Rauer and a second by Armstrong. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong?
Real quick, I just wanted to reiterate, because I know I've got some questions on both sides of the aisle on how we're handling this. I just want to reiterate that some of the costs going into this are for also treating healthy ash trees and tree replacement as well, because you'll have people say, oh, you're taking out all these trees. Well, we're also, staff did a great job of putting this together so that we can put trees back where they're being taken out. So thank you for doing that.
I think the term on that is eventually.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, if I may, it's important to know that the focus, while we do have some dollars set aside for tree replacement, the focus will be removal until we can get through the bulk of that cost, and then at which point we get through 27, we'll have a significant amount of funding for other things such as tree replacement. So some of it's going to take some time. There's just so much volume in terms of the dead and dying ash trees that has to be where the focus is. Our goal over the next several years after that will be to replace as many of those as we can, but, you know, that'll be subject to wherever we're at that time and funds available and so forth.
Thanks for saving my hide.
I just don't want to overpromise.
Just trying to set reasonable expectations.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Hammer, I think this would be a question for you since like Tommy falls under your supervision. So if there's like dead ash trees in a neighborhood and most of them have an X, and then the ones on the other side are really dying, and maybe they didn't appear to be as dead before when he was marking the other trees, should they be calling, or will they just expect a visit, do you think, or is there any action people should be taking if they have a dead ash tree in their yard?
Mr. Mayor, we did update the phone tree here at City Hall, and there's a special process by which that goes into our reporting system. So if they wanted to call in and say, come look at my tree, certainly it would get put on the list. We went from individual trees based upon safety and concerns and hazards to now neighborhoods. And
Okay.
so we're trying to do more, which is why they're going out faster, but the costs are going up in order to do that. But we still have to attack the worst first, but we are trying to do it by neighborhoods now versus individual trees.
All right. And you're saying they can also use the report it?
Correct. If they
Okay.
call in to one of the options now is on the phone tree is to go directly to a voicemail box, which creates a report it. So if you want to report it, go ahead online, or if you call it in and leave a voicemail, we would leave that the same way.
Okay, very good. All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac?
I'd just like to point out that, you know, we prioritize our budget, and we have been prioritizing this. We've been after this for a number of years. But, you know, in being responsible and prioritizing our budget, we kind of caught a break, right? With the really, really cold weather that we had in some years, the polar vortex years, that kind of really slowed everything down. Then we had the mild winters, which really accelerated everything, and that's why we're in this position today that we really are going to get after it in these two budget years, and then probably 5 or 6 more budget years coming forward. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we've always had a plan for this. It just came fast and furious with this kind of weather.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
I just wanted to say kudos to our forester, Tom. My goodness, boy, he's doing a great job, and I talked to him yesterday, and I learned probably more about the AB than I'll ever know in my life. And he's treated 400 trees. I mean, so he's using some treatments as well, and he certainly knows what to do to take care of this problem.
Yeah, I mean, having Tommy here, we are the envy of a lot of municipalities. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
That's a great point. I'll just kind of throw it out there too, that, you know, if you have an ash tree that's live in your yard and you like it and it's a big tree and providing a lot of shade, there is very effective chemical treatments to keep that tree alive. I for one, I have one ash tree in my backyard and it's beautiful, it covers my whole deck. I've been keeping it alive while ash trees on both sides of me have died, so. You know, if you're interested in that, I think it's worth the money, it's effective. Just wanted to point it out.
Good, that's a good reminder. All right, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 9 is to consider an introduction of an ordinance to amend City Code Section 5-1500, Prohibited Practices for Solicitors. Ms. Lensmeyer, are we learning some stuff this summer here with our solicitors out at the doors, or what?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yes, we have learned some things. This is actually as part of our conversations internally about how to better regulate and manage our waste hauler licensing. It was brought to our attention that there have been some concerns about the types of practices as it relates to door-to-door sales. So the proposed ordinance would add a couple of prohibited practices you see there, talking about public nuisance and false or misleading statements.
All right.
Do you have any questions? I
Ms.
can answer those.
Lensmeyer, so the other reminder is, these solicitors have to have a license that has to be worn where you can see it, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
And it's reasonable if somebody comes to your door to ask them if they have that license.
Yes, please do. We tell them when we give it to them that they must have their badge issued by us on them at all times and produce the actual certificate that we provide to them when asked.
Yep, okay, very good.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, I've had several solicitors not be very happy with me because I asked them that question at the door. And I owe Ms. Lensmeyer a couple of business cards that I got in lieu of their license. So it's just our practice to be able to, again, protect our residents. We want to know who's out there knocking on your doors, to say that we know who they are, they're licensed by the city to do this. And then again, back with our waste hauling, to make sure that there are a couple other statements that we wanted to add into this ordinance to make sure that, again, as we're looking at making sure we have good waste haulers in our city, that everything's coming, and have ways to measure. So with that, I will make a motion to, it's just an introduction.
It's
We
just
don't-
an introduction,
No
yeah.
motion, never mind.
Mr. Mayor?
Nice try, though. Councilmember Carlson?
Yeah, I've heard from some residents about some very aggressive solicitors lately, and
Yeah.
funny thing is, they don't even have a license.
Yep.
And all over town. So I just want people to know they're violating city ordinance. They're violating the law. Call 911. Let's, if you want to be anonymous, what have you, that's fine, but these people need to be confronted about this, because some of them are really crossing the line. Some of the moves that these solicitors are making, this one in particular that doesn't have a license, is just, they're crossing the line.
That's interesting. I know I shared that before, that it was a pest controller, and I said, "Where's your license?" And he goes, "Oh, I've got one." I said, "Well, I'm supposed to be able to see it. It's supposed to be displayed." "Oh, no, I've got one." "Well, let me see it then." So he finally digs it out of his pocket. Well, it's Blaine.
Yeah.
It's like, we're 5 miles from Blaine. You know what? So,
The same gentleman has been at my house trying the same thing twice, and I'm like, okay.
Mr. Mayor.
yeah, so, and yeah, he continued to be aggressive, and it's like, oh, get out of here. Councilmember Rainwater.
So after all the talk, I just want to make sure folks know that if folks are coming, because with the election less than 2 months away, that is separate from soliciting, is protected by the First Amendment, because some people will want to have access to their candidates running for office. So that is different from this.
What are the exceptions to the solicitor's license? Do you recall? Because there's also, isn't there religious exceptions? Do you recall?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yes, there are. As long as you're not soliciting for funding, there are exceptions for the religious and the political groups that are out there, as long as they're not asking you for anything other than your support.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson.
Actually, it was pest control I was hearing from. And Mr. Mayor, if a politician crosses the line at the door, just don't vote for him. Right? Tell your neighbors not to vote for him either.
Don't call 911.
Just don't vote for him.
All right. Is there any other questions or discussion on item 9 here?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question
Okay.
on this. It says, okay, so we're looking at this, and I know it's just an introduction, so just point of clarification for me. It says deletions in brackets, additions are double underlined. And what I'm showing no deletions, so there's no brackets, so there's no deletions in this. And then we're adding section 7 and section 8. That's the only change to our current code. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Griscoviac, that's correct.
Okay, all right. I thought maybe I was missing something that was being deleted.
Okay.
Looks good.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, then we will consider the ordinance amending City Code Section 5-1500, prohibiting practices for solicitors. We will consider that introduced, and I would imagine we'll see it back at our October meeting?
October 1st, yes.
Okay. Very good. And that's all I've got for an agenda. We're up to the open mic portion of the meeting. Is anybody here to address council for open mic? No? Nobody here for open mic, all right. Then we are to, and I don't have any reports on previous open mics, so we are to other business.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Geisler.
I always like to check out the calendar or what's coming up. So we've got a couple more weeks of the farmer's market on Wednesdays. So that's tomorrow, the 18th, and then also next week, the 25th. The other fun big thing that will be happening is on Saturday is the Love My Pet Fair. So that is just a great event where people bring their pets and they have contests and all kinds of good things, and there'll be vendors there. And that's at Riverview Park from 10 to 1:30. So check out the city website to learn anything more about that.
Can I interject one thing on that?
Sure.
Your well-behaved pets.
Well, very, very true.
Yeah, they
Leash.
specifically put in there your well-behaved pets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Go ahead.
leashes would be a good idea. Right?
And then, before you get off of that one, Councilmember Carlson, aren't you gonna be there?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna be doing a little emceeing. Boy, they were hurting for MCs this year. You're hitting the bottom of the barrel this year, so I'll do my best.
All right, very good. Back to you,
Yep,
Councilmember
and then
Geisler.
so the next big thing, talking about people coming from the elections, on Friday starts early voting. So you can, and I'll pass it off to Ms. Lensmeyer to give us the details about that early absentee voting that will start at City Hall starting on Friday.
Mayor and council members, that's right. In-person absentee voting opens on Friday, the 20th, here at City Hall. Our hours are 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. If you have any questions, you can call the clerk's office, or you can go to mnvotes.org. We do have additional hours. Check your newsletter. There's a great article on the extra hours that we are open and days that we are open to facilitate the number of folks that we anticipate that would like to vote in person absentee here at City Hall. Yeah, so come on and see us. We'll be ready for you.
And Ms. Lensmeyer, if they need to register, they could come register with you as they would vote as well?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Geisler, that's correct. If you need to register, you can register and vote in person.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
Those were the things on the calendar.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Rehbauer?
I'd like to share that I am wearing this cardinal pin this evening in honor of Vicki Johnson. Vicki passed away on September 6th. She worked for the Anoka Hennepin School District for 27 years, and after retirement joined the Coon Rapids Lioness Club, serving as secretary and then as president, and later on then served with the Lions Club. So she will be greatly missed. She's succeeded by her husband, Roger, her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. So, thank you, Vicki.
All right.
Mr. Hammer
Other
had
business,
something.
Mr. Hammer?
Mr. Mayor, Council, some news on projects. So the water tower, little anticlimactic, went up so much faster than anyone had anticipated. It was a beautiful day. CTN, I believe, has a link to that. I'm waiting to get some time-lapse video as well from the consultants, and I'll share that with you. Now it's down and dirty, get the roof on, get it painted, and hope for good weather to get that online by the end of the year. Also, the Coon Creek Trail from Shenandoah to Main Street kicked off this week. They're starting work on the north end by Main Street and working their way south. So some of you may hear about that as the project advances, but that is now into construction. And then finally, the pedestrian bridge on Coon Rapids Boulevard was going to kick off this week. It got pushed back, so starting next week, they will start work on the pedestrian bridge down there off of Zilla and Coon Rapids Boulevard with the intent of getting all the underground work completed. So all the noisy, dirty, impactful, pile driving, all of that stuff, all the way into the winter with the intent of placing that bridge up there next summer. And so 3 big projects moving along and really getting moving here, of course, as we head into the fall season.
That water tower is amazing, how many streets you see it from.
Yeah.
When you're going down Coon Rapids Boulevard, you're looking at it, I mean, from Foley, you can see it from just so many different directions. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember
I
Armstrong.
just wanted to add, thank everybody that was involved with that for making it anticlimactic. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's gonna take 8 hours, it's gonna be all day, 45 minutes, or like it's 10 feet in the air. I got a call probably about 11:30, they're like, yeah, we're done.
Wow.
Yep, yep. With the response we always like to hear is uneventful. Yes, yes, that's how we like that. All right, any other business to come before council this evening?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Bruce.
I would just like to make a mention, and maybe a thank you to the Anoka Ramsey Community College. They had a great event on the banks of the Mississippi River last Thursday. It was a beautiful night. There was hundreds of people, and they have such a spectacular riverfront over there that they shared with the community. It was a fundraiser, of course, for them, but they had a great band in GB Late, and there was a lot of people. There was food. Hopefully, they're listening to this and they have big plans for next year because it was a great success, and I'd just love to see us partner in something like that if they have it again next year, and maybe even get it bigger. It was great.
The president actually emailed me today and thanked us for the participation and for helping out. And he said they figured they had about 450 people there.
Okay.
And it was absolutely glorious night. And the music was just excellent, and it just couldn't have been better weather. It was just so nice. So, and then apparently they already had a contract for a different stage, so we didn't have to bring ours in. Yeah. So, okay. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Carlson, second by Geisler to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.